Greetings, one and all, and welcome to Volume 3, Episode 3 of the all-new NFL Talk team-by-team previews. The series that is changing the way the world looks at football. Well, not exactly, but you get the picture. Isn't it crazy that this is our 12th team-by-team preview? I mean, isn't that crazy? I feel like it just started. I feel like we just started the series. And here we are at episode number 12. Gosh. Coming up on the show today, we preview an up-and-coming team in the Tennessee Titans. But before we get to that, a couple of things to mention. First of all, if you follow any of my social media, you've already seen and most likely heard and watched that I just wrapped up my first ever YouTube live mock draft, fantasy football mock draft on YouTube. You are going to want to check it out if you have not seen it yet. It's the best thing since sliced bread. Isn't that what how the saying goes? I think it is. Anyways, I talk all things fantasy football. I do a live mock snake draft, standard scoring, 10 teams on ESPN. So you're going to want to check that out if you haven't. But luckily for you, I'm keeping it up on YouTube indefinitely. So, if you haven't checked it out, be sure to do so as soon as possible. It'll be up for an undisclosed amount of time. I'm probably going to keep it up like literally forever. Also, we've got poll results for you. I'm pulling them up here. The latest poll has 55 votes. Over or under 12,000 yards, 10 touchdowns for Lamar Miller this season. Now, I realized in retrospect that I probably should have made the stat 12,000 yards, 9.5 touchdowns, because he scores 10 touchdowns, we got a little bit of a problem. Anyways, 27% say over, 73% say under. That's the skinny on that. Other polls that we had up. Does Ryan Fitzpatrick look like a tennis ball? 69% say no, 31% say yes. Where does Andrew Luck come in your quarterback ranks for this year? We have 125 votes on that one. 2% say number 1, 6% say top 3, 17% say top 5, 47% say top 10, and 29% say outside the top 10. So that's where things stand on that. Also, I'm doing a lot of advertising for GetTopical.com. And recently, this coming via a tweet from Fantasy Football Top News, at Fantasy FTBL Top on Twitter. They've just tweeted out my live YouTube Fantasy Football mock draft on Get Topical, so you're going to want to check it out there as well. Follow Get Topical on Twitter and all their different topics. And then finally today, before we kick things off on the show, you guys know it's a Monday, and what do we have on Monday? Yes, indeed, it's our weekly Twitter follow. Drum roll. Dang it, I don't have a drum roll sound effect. Shoot, we gotta get that. We need a drum roll sound effect. Will this work? Oh, shoot. That is loud. Anyways, I've got to get a drum roll sound effect. Today's weekly Twitter follow is the T-Nos Music Show. You got that right. Last week it was at Youth News. Or at Youth News Radio, I should say. But today it is my best friend at T-Nos Music Show. He is a music podcast, or he hosts a music podcast about all the latest news in the world of music. He also gives his opinion and reviews on latest EPs and albums. You're going to want to check him out at Youth News Radio, at T-Nos Music Show. I was going to say he's the co-host with me of at Youth News Radio. But check him out at T-Nos Music Show on Twitter if you see all of his latest content. All right, enough chit-chat as usual. Time to kick things off. And we're talking about, like I said, the Tennessee Titans. The NFL drama of a second-year quarterback. That's what we see in Marcus Mariota. Titans coach Mike Mularkey insists that Marcus Mariota is going to run more this season. Really, it looked like Marcus Mariota was running all the time, but 34 carries, 252 yards, only averaged 21 yards a game. We'll see what happens this year, but Marcus Mariota is a second-year quarterback, and we love monitoring second-year quarterbacks and their stories because we just don't know what's going to happen. Is he going to be consistent? Is he going to stay at the same level that he started out in? Was his solid first year a fluke? Is he going to be able to kick things up a notch and take his team to a winning season? Or will he and his team continue to lay wallowing in the dust? What's going to happen? Was it a fluke? Was it not a fluke? Is it going to be good, bad? We just don't know. That's the case, as always, with second-year quarterbacks. I'm avoiding Mariota in fantasy. Not a guy that I am targeting. His 62% completion rate was pretty solid. Only averaged 235 yards a game. Just 19 touchdowns, 10 picks. Wasn't great, but it was solid for a rookie quarterback. We just don't know. There's so much uncertainty surrounding Marcus Mariota. The good thing is, however, they've got a deep backfield. And going for 3-13 last year, they're going to need it. Look, when you have your number 5 running back on the depth chart, so your 5th string running back, when your 5th string running back is a guy that was vying for the starting job last year and was viewed by many as a viable fantasy asset later in the season, you're in good shape. That's David Cobb. Towards the end of the year, hanging around there, fantasy sleeper consideration. Number 4 running back Antonio Andrews, Dexter McCluster at number 3. I love some Dexter McCluster because he can do a lot of stuff, both in the receiving game and on the ground. And then number 2 and 1 just gets scary. Dexter McCluster. Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry and DeMarco Murray. When Derrick Henry's your second string running back, even though he's a rookie, you're solid. You're in good shape. The Tennessee Titans have a lot of running back talent to work with. You guys know it. Everybody does. And we just need to see how it's going to play out. I'm excited to see how it's going to play out, for one. I expect that they'll keep Henry on the bench for much of the season, but he'll be there if needed. However, the receiving game doesn't look as solid as last year. They lost Justin Hunter. Now Rashard Matthews is the number 1 receiver, formerly a Dolphin. According to the Titans insider Terry McCormick, Rashard Matthews and Tajay Sharp appear to be the Titans starters in 2 receiver sets. Kendall Wright, as usual, is going to be in the slot. Look, the Titans receiving game isn't one that I love. Really, I don't like any aspect of it. Except for Delanie Walker, and I don't mind taking a late-round flyer on him. Delanie Walker had the 10th highest target share in the league last season. The Titans recently extended him 2 years for $14.7 million. Walker played 15 games last year, caught 94 balls for 1,088 yards. He averaged 72.5 yards per game. You guys don't realize that, but he had a solid year. 6 touchdowns. Added a 36-yard carry for good measure. But look, the point is, if you want to look elsewhere for your early picks, or for higher value in auction draft, go right ahead and take Delanie Walker as a sleeper. Look, I think Delanie Walker will be relied on this year as a safety blanket for Marcus Mariota. That's going to be his job. And that spells success for him as a sleeper. Nonetheless, I'm relying more on the Titans' ground game in fantasy. We'll see how things shape up. DeMarco Murray should suffer an injury. Derrick Henry jumps right back in to the potential fantasy sleeper mix as well. Record prediction time. I'm looking at the Tennessee Titans schedule here. By the way, the Titans won their first preseason game 27-10 over the Chargers. To be honest, the Titans really don't have that difficult of a schedule. I mean, obviously they've got to play their tough, always tough, divisional rivals twice. But I'm looking at teams on the schedule that include the Browns, the Dolphins, the Lions. The one team that sticks out to me, though really the only team... Oh, and also they've got the Bears on the schedule too. Really, the only team that sticks out to me that's going to be really, really difficult to beat, that's outside the division, the Green Bay Packers in week number 10. Look, I think the Titans have a shot at having a successful season, and by successful, I mean going 500. They have a shot, but it's not going to happen. However, it'll be a good season. I just don't think the Titans are going to be able to explode from 3-13. I'm not buying it. I don't think any team can explode from 3-13 and become a playoff team in just one season. They haven't done enough. They're getting there. 7-9 for the Titans. That might seem like a bit of a bold prediction. I'm considering changing it slightly. Just altering it. Just a little bit. You know what? I'm going to, just slightly. 6-10 for the Titans. Yeah, I think they'll double their win total. I think that's a good solid prediction. They double their win total this season. They go 6-10. It's an improvement. And if they can double their win total again next year, they'll be 12-4. And vying for that playoff spot. If not the division crown. The Titans have some talent. It's just going to take a while for them to grow into their talent. The X Factor, no, it's not Marcus Mariota, as many of you may have thought. But rather, it's the tight end, Delanie Walker himself. Who I believe will need to be relied on much of the season by Marcus Mariota, what with a change-up in the receiving core with the wide receivers, Rashard Matthews coming in as the number one receiver, and the change in the backfield. Delanie Walker is going to have to be that solid man in the middle and a safety blanket for Marcus Mariota. I know I've used that term a lot, but it's really the only way to put it. Delanie Walker is the X factor for the Tennessee Titans. All right. Thanks for tuning in, guys. That's all the time we have for today. Don't forget to check out @Tinos Music Show on Twitter and listen to his music podcast. He talks all the latest news in music. Until tomorrow, the NFL's back, of course, so watch NFL preseason. I know it's preseason, but it's football. And think NFL thoughts. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.